This is Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here on CCW TV, the Comic Culture Warrior video channel.
CTO TV?
No, my favorite was Culture Club. The Comic Culture Club. You know, I swear I want to change our name to that now. I want it to be the Comic Culture Club.
Well, you better make sure that Raymond didn't trademark it first.
C cubed. And for those who don't know, Chew officially jumps the shark with issue number 17.
So he's going to have Tony Chew skiing, and he's going to
go
off
a leather jacket and
jump a shark. Yeah. That's going to be awesome.
I will be in issue 17.
Oh, really?
So jumps the shark. Because my last name.
It's good to know that the less talented of the two of us is actually going to be in this issue of Chew.
Get it?
But,
Why? Because the world rewards mediocrity.
Yes,
mediocrity.
I know. And plus, your name actually is a food.
But it's
more like
it's more than mediocrity.
Yeah. Whatever, though.
Anyway, something that
people are you just jealous. I am
hater. Something that was not mediocre. That we had been talking up for some time. Doomwar by Jonathan Mayberry, Scott Eaton,
and three inkers.
You can tell they wanted to get this one in the can.
Yeah.
Finally concluding the big blowout between T'Challa and Victor Von Doom.
The non-event that should have been an event. Telling you, this issue packed as much into it as all the ones that came before it. And I'm going to talk about that specific issue later.
Yeah. The thing that got me about this part, and I'm going to tell you, I have one beef with this book.
Yeah.
That Mayberry put so much stuff in this book. He couldn't just he couldn't slow things down as the train got to the end of the track. We're talking he had to slam the brakes on and the story just ended. It wasn't there wasn't a denouement, as they say. It didn't build a climax and then go down. We're talking over.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was a little bit jarring because I was like,
that's
whoa!
One of the points that I'm going to make.
Yeah. But there's been a lot of talk around the internet about this particular issue because Mayberry dramatically changes the status quo of Wakanda in the Marvel Universe. In fact, he dramatically changes the status quo of the Marvel Universe in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of see why, but as a result of T'Challa's final gambit against Doom, he essentially gets rid... Spoiler alert! He gets rid of Vibranium. Altogether, Vibranium is no longer.
It's useless.
It's useless.
You can't.
I mean, the unprocessed Vibranium. So if you still have something made of Vibranium that was processed, it still exists.
Right. I had some people asking me about that. Yeah. Like, well, what about Captain America's shield? Well, it's already been done. This is all the unprocessed Vibranium that he had in the vault and blah blah blah.
So that makes sense. And the thing that really gets me too is that it does make sense to have that. Because let's face it, after a while, when everybody has an adamantium skeleton and everybody has a vibranium sword, it's like, what's the big deal?
Right.
Why? So the fact that Mayberry kind of addresses that in here and ups the ante as far as the scarcity of vibranium,
mm-hmm.
I kind of dug that. All came together nicely. You see the way the story is resolved. Little bits of how the final payoff would come were scattered throughout the book. Nothing comes out of left field. There, as you said on the blog, there was no Deus Ex Machina.
No.
It just.
But I think reviews that I read on the internet sure thought that it was.
No,
but it wasn't. If you were fucking paying attention to the book, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, it was set up very nicely. Because when I was reading this, I was going through it first. You read it first as to be entertained. Then you read it. I read it with my writer brain, just dissecting the plot and seeing how Mayberry put everything together. Held together very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked the whole political side of it too. Yeah.
You know, that
was another reason why I think that people didn't really like it. Because there was politics involved in my superhero story. I can't have that. I can't handle it.
And Victor Von Doom is supposed to be the ruler of Latveria.
I know.
You know, some of the best stories...
And fucking T'Challa is the ruler of Wakanda. Like, well, why wouldn't...
De facto, his sister's supposed
his sister
to be,
is, right. But, you know, you have these two heads of state. Like, why wouldn't you use politics in the storyline? Yeah. That was one of the things that intrigued me about the first issue, about how much politics was thrown in there.
Right. That's why you should have had, you know, a comic book with George Bush and Kim Jong-il fighting it out in the United Nations. Yeah. You know, that would have been cool.
But I think, you know, I don't understand why I'm going to call out CBR because they gave this book 1.5 stars. I don't understand. And you read the review, they have some problems with it, but it's not a 1.5 star review. They had more problems with this piece of shit than they did with this, and they gave this 3.5 stars. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get into the whole politics of what review sites do and why they do certain things, because we've already been through that before.
Well, understand that it's a matter of opinion. I mean,
it is a matter of opinion.
It's just the way you feel also when you read the book.
I understand that, but when you read the actual reviews, there's more complaints about that Spider-Man book than about this.
Right.
You read this, some of the complaints are very surfacey. They don't really have anything bad to say about it. The other thing that I loved was that they were complaining about 3 inkers on this book. You know what other book has 3 inkers every fucking month? Green Lantern. And they gave Green Lantern 4 stars. They love Green Lantern. That, to me, the art in there is more jarring with 3 different inkers and Doug Mankey doing his own stuff.
This book,
I don't understand. It wasn't jarring at all. I know that there was 3 inkers, but it all melded pretty good.
It melded fairly well. Yeah, I mean, there were times when there was a little bit of a difference.
So it's like people are just fucking making excuses to rip on something. I don't get it.
Again, though, we rip stuff here too. So
we do, but we always let you know exactly why we're doing it.
But sometimes it comes down to a matter of opinion. I mean, sometimes it does come down to a matter of opinion.
I just said that I agreed with you on that.
I'm just saying. So that's the person who reviewed that didn't care for it.
So right, whatever. Yeah. So so one of the problems that I had with this book was that it just ends abruptly. Right. Okay, now it's 22 pages. That's fine, but here's my thing. I mean, maybe I obviously packed. I mean, there have been other issues in this series where like, man, there's just so much stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Would it have fucking killed... It's already a $3.99 book. Would it have fucking killed Marvel to give him an extra 4 pages an issue? Like Captain America Reborn? How they gave out 28 pages because fucking Brian Hitch had to draw 18 double splash pages for no reason?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's just where it ended.
And they couldn't have...
I don't know.
I know. But they couldn't give him 4 pages for a proper epilogue?
Yeah, possibly. That would be a question that Mayberry would have to answer.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, that's obviously he had 6 issues, 22 pages each. But I was just wondering if
the first issue though had extra.
Yeah, you're right. The first one did have extra, but I'm wondering if that is something, you know. Hopefully, you know, at some point you can interview him and talk to him, because I would like to have known some of the process that went behind this. Like, if he, like Layman with the Bullseye, did he have constraints put on him? Mm-hmm. Was he not able to use some extra pages here or there? Right. Did he need to tell everything within 22 pages? Because that's just the way that the
Well, Mayberry has commented that that he was given carte blanche to do what he wanted with this story. That's why I think one of the criticisms that also this story is given is that it doesn't feel like it's in continuity. Which, I'm sorry, nothing going on right now in any of the other Marvel events feels like it's in continuity. Avengers Prime, supposed to take place in the middle of the whole Siege Avengers thing, doesn't feel like it's in continuity, and yet people love it. You know, it's getting praised all the time on other boards. So those, to me, those types of criticisms don't seem to wash.
But see, this whole story kind of takes place within a few days, though.
Yeah, it happens all very quickly. Yeah.
So there's your fucking continuity. If people are complaining about it, it's you know, all in a matter of you know, just a few days. Right. Which but yeah. So that was my number one problem. Is I wish there was a proper epilogue. I wish Marvel would have, you know, given him some extra pages to flesh out some certain things. But I don't know. Again, it's one of the best things about this series, though, is the dialogue.
Oh yeah,
you know, spot on. The speech, and there's been a couple of great speeches in this series, but the one that T'Challa gives to Doom at the end, right before he fucks Doom over, that's just awesome stuff. It
cool.
seriously is.
It was pretty cool.
So, All right.
I don't know. So buy the trade. I know people have been trade waiting. People are going to be very happy, I think, with buying the trade. So hopefully that'll be out soon.
And then the other big event that Mayberry's writing. No, I mean, to me, it's an event. I mean, I
agree.
It's the Punisher versus Marvel Universe. It's a
kind of
four-issue miniseries. Yeah, it feels like it's kind of like one of those the end type deals. Mm-hmm. It's a Mayberry's take on the Punisher versus the Marvel U after the Marvel U's been infected with a virus that is somewhat similar. I mean, it's not zombies because they're not. It's not the Punisher versus Marvel.
And you can't
zombies.
say that it's similar to 28 Days Later because Mr. Fantastic already debunks that.
Yeah, because they actually make a 28 Days Later reference in here. But it's kind of a Marvel Universe horror story in a way, and it's kind of and it has some kind of gruesome aspects, some very black humor.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was reading.
It's funny you say it's gruesome because there were some people complaining that it wasn't violent enough for them.
No, but see, because the thing I liked about it was that it left a lot to your imagination.
It was subtle.
It didn't have to come out and gross you out by showing entrails lying all over.
Exactly. One of the parts, and when I wrote a quick review of this on the blog, is you have this panel down here where the Blob eats an entire restaurant full of people, and you see the end result, with just some blood and some bones there, and the Blob having, and with the same exact thing that happened in Ultimatum, where the Blob ate the Wasp. It was a full splash page. Right. It was her ripped open. Right. It was like just entrails coming out of the mouth. Like tastes like chicken. Fucking stupid Jeff Loeb. But I mean, this is how subtle this is. Right. I don't get why you need shit in your face like that. And that was one of the things that I liked about this book, is that it is violent, but it's subtle, and it does leave a lot to the imagination, which a lot of comics should do more of.
There are a couple missteps, though, in this particular issue. And again,
really? Where?
Yeah. Well, one was an art thing, because when you're looking at it here, this is supposed to be Sue Storm.
Sue Storm, I agree with that.
Yeah, and that was just... this is where I this is editorial, but again, these are nitpicks. Sue Storm killing, Valeria and Franklin, and it doesn't look like Sue Storm. It looks like the Phoenix, and it doesn't look like she's suffocating them with her force field. It looks like she's electrocuting them.
And then it could have been an editorial thing. Maybe he needed to change something.
Oh, that's true.
It could have been somebody else entirely when he wrote it, and maybe they made him change it.
And then Ares is back again just to get killed again, because Ares was killed.
Well, this is an offshoot, though.
I know. It's like,
I mean, this is...
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just, again, nerd nitpicks.
This is an Elseworld, though. That's what I'm saying. It could have taken place at any point in the Marvel universe.
And then, ultimately, I'm asking myself, and this is, of course, resolved at the end of the story. As I'm reading this story, I'm asking myself, Frank Castle, why are you even bothering? The whole world is basically gone to shit. You just might be the last living being left. You might just be it. You might be the end of humanity. Why are you even bothering?
Right when you're thinking that?
Right when you think that? Then the end. Then you find out at the very end. And then I go, fuck, Frank.
No. Yeah, that subtle twist at the end is I liked it.
It just goes to show, and when you go back to how Mayberry handled T'Challa, where he understands the essence of the character, T'Challa being a monarch who also is a hero, who also is a scientist, and has to balance all those three things. You go to the character, the essence of Frank Castle.
He's a tragic figure.
He's a tragic figure. Frank Castle is Batman pushed beyond, over the edge. Mm-hmm. We're talking, Frank Castle is essentially Batman with no moral restraint. Batman does have a moral center, whereas Frank Castle does not. Some might argue, no, Frank Castle does have a moral center because he only kills bad guys. Well, that also depends on who's writing him, too. In this case, though, Frank Castle, you can't look at him as any sort of hero because the actions that he takes ends up coming and leading to his downfall, as you'll see in this book. Mm-hmm. And that is the essence of the Punisher. And that the Punisher isn't the whole life that he leads. Killing others is not so much punishing those who are bad, but punishing himself.
Yes.
You know, that Frank Castle is living out his own torment, and this is the way he pays his penance.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to, say Mayberry found that essence of the character, took what could have been a very, let's face it, this sort of thing has been done before.
Mm-hmm.
He came up with a new spin on it.
Yeah.
And the great part about it was that it wasn't a spin built on plot, but built on character.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say, too, is that, like Doomwar #1, how there was so much information, and this does what the first issue of a series or a miniseries needs to do. It needs to give you all the information.
Right.
So you can enjoy the rest of the series.
And a lot of stuff happens.
There's a lot of stuff, but it's where it's sort of an info dump in Doomwar, but it's all very interesting. It's written in a way that makes you want to read it. Here, it's written. The info dump is written as Frank Castle's War Journal. So it's Frank. You actually, telling you the story of what happened and why he's doing this, and giving you all that information.
Right.
And the cliffhanger is pretty cool. The Zero, they're calling him, who's the first person to be infected, obviously.
Right.
Who he's going after. So it should be pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. So
it's a four issue. It's four issues, so you can tell an interesting, compelling story that's got a lot of action in it. Only 4 issues. I'm down with that.
And it's a story. It's kind of an event story that you don't need buy all these different tie-ins and stuff to get it. This really feels like an indie book taking place within the Marvel universe. It feels like its own thing. Like you said, it's like an Elseworlds. It's a nice little story that has its own compartmentalized aspect.
Well, it's funny you say that because they actually there's a new Thor comic that's been coming out called Thor the Mighty Avenger.
Thor the Mighty, which is actually really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But that also has that kind of feeling to it where you don't need to deal with continuity. It's its own story. It's its own book. And I'm wondering if Marvel is going to kind of start doing more of that.
Yeah.
But we already know that they don't care about continuity. But it's pretty obvious. But to tell those stories, to be able to take place anywhere within continuity, kind of like, All-Star Superman was kind of like that story. Just tell stories like that. And if they're going to do more of that and give more freedom to the writers to do what they want to do, it would make for more compelling comics, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Because but we already know that if you can tell compelling stories within continuity too, they just choose not to.
And we're going to talk about that very aspect in our next segment. We hope you join us.